nightmare.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Subculture, the podcast where we discuss everything strange, obscure and downright messed up in the world of movies. My name's Simon.
And I'm Gary.
So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
To everyone out there in listener land. Yep. And specifically to those few people that actually listen to the podcast. So how have you been doing, Gary, since the bells?
Um,
What date are we on now? The 18th, 17th?
17th,
17th.
isn't it? Aye.
It's been a wee while there since we've recorded today.
It is. It's maybe our longest gap there.
Definitely. We break for the holidays.
Maybe some new tweaks to the podcast.
Yeah. Well, did you notice that bit at the beginning?
Well,
Did anyone notice? That wasn't Gary.
aye.
Oh, aye. Did I get extra money for doing that? Like at the beginning?
Well, I never get any money, so.
So you're
I'm
saying
thinking.
yes. Cool. Well, we're still here. We're all back and we're ready to go. Ready to burst into the new year with like a invisible force light raging through the trees. So, episode 20, Gary.
The big 2-0.
Big 2-0. And we're going to be looking at
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
1981.
1981, yeah. And a very controversial film.
Yes.
In the UK specifically, in the mid-80s.
Yeah, one of the poster boys for the video nasties.
This was it, wasn't it? I mean, this was like one of the kind of, they got the director over into court and everything like that. So basically, a bunch of 5 friends venture to the woods of Tennessee, I believe it's meant to be. It is for the film, but that's what it's probably meant to be. We'll say that. For a kind of dirty weekend, I guess you would say, except one of them brought his sister along with him. A bit dodgy, isn't it? A bit,
it's two couples in a spear.
Aye, it's a bit odd, but I don't know why. But
Right.
I mean, they seem to be fairly similar age, so I don't even know if like Ash's mum would have been like, "You're taking your sister,"
Right.
you know. So they venture to the woods, where they come across the Book of the Dead, and a tape player, a mysterious tape player, which upon playing they unleash the evil dead. And what occurs after that is been quoted as being the most ferociously original horror film of the year for that year.
That was a Stephen King
That
quote.
was a Stephen King quote. There was another one or something that blah blah blah. What did you think of this film then, Gary?
Well, I was going to start with that quote. Reading about the film, it's often classified as being full of horror cliches. To call it original, I think it was in the sense of its style and its aesthetic at the time. I mean, I wasn't obviously alive to see it come out, but at the time, I imagine it was quite refreshing. It was quite a break in the horror canon. And what kind of occurred to me watching it was, even though you're saying there it was actually made and started in 79, it does feel like the 80s. You do get that kind of lighter sort of, it's like the comedy of it. I mean, we mentioned this like back in the Vamp episode. I mean, horror in the 70s was much more serious.
Sure.
And like American cinema in general was quite serious, quite existential, dark, gritty. You'd lost the kind of exuberance of the 60s, so you also get the influx of the new Hollywood directors. So things were getting more violent, like Mean Streets. You had the sort of existentialism of Taxi Driver, like Two Lane Blacktop, and all the great horror movies of that period, which were sort of political in a way, like not necessarily explicitly political in their content, but they reflected the darkness of the times, like Vietnam, all that sort of thing. And to a certain extent, I like my horror a bit more in the serious vein.
Right.
The comedy aspect turns me off a wee bit, but to say that, I mean, you should judge a film on its own merits.
Yeah.
So there's nothing particularly against it, but so I think it's definitely an important film. Quite a groundbreaking film, a very inventive film.
Definitely.
Important in the sort of independent DIY movement. Just getting out there, creating, making it up as you go along. Basically, it's a testament to what you can do. How you're actually, in a way, you're kind of more free when you don't have the constraints of the like big budgets. You're kind of, the restrictions force you to be more inventive. Um, so yeah, I think it has some flaws, which I do appreciate the film a lot. I enjoy it. It's a entertaining, fun film. It has, but its flaws stop me from totally loving it. It has quite a sort of few flaws, I think, but overall, it's yeah, it's an important film. Enjoy it.
Definitely, I feel very similar. Although I would say I do love this film. Everything about it, from the is just like get up and do it, like mentality behind it from the filmmakers, the just like film it, shoot it, like, you know, till it's done. You know, like, I mean, like, eventually I believe they were left with like 5 members of crew and cast at the end of it.
Right,
you know, like, because everyone had to leave. It was only meant to be a 6-week shoot, and ended up shooting for 12 weeks. And like everyone, not that everyone was pissed off and left, but everyone was pissed off. But they had to leave. You know what I mean? Everyone had stuff to do. They had school to go back to, whatever. And they just stayed and shot it. And then even up to like a couple of years after, like, you know, before it came out, finished the initial shoot, they were still shooting stuff in like people's basements, like getting a shot here, doing like, the animation stuff for the end. I mean, the whole story probably takes me in more than just the film alone. But you're saying, like, you know, the inventiveness of like of really knowing nothing, and having nothing to work with. It's crazy. I mean, some of the effects some of the effects still stand up today. Most of the camera effects, you know, like the kind of the tilts, you know, like the car, you know, and the incline and stuff like that. And when Ash is checking out the bridge, even the bridge being wrecked. I mean, that's quite a cool looking thing. You know, it's quite a stylized like thing to see. But I just love it. I think it's brilliant. It's everything, as you say. It's everything that's kind of fun about horror films. But the first one definitely had still a serious tone there,
right,
somewhere. You know what I mean? But you can feel the kind of comedic nature behind it, and the kind of fun that they maybe had coming up with ideas.
Aye.
Or at least Sam Raimi had coming up with ideas to torture Bruce Campbell. But as I say, this is definitely one of my favourite films, I think. Yeah, definitely.
It's quite interesting. It's sort of cult enough and like nasty enough to turn off like mainstream audiences, but it's an incredibly populist. It has like a populist mentality, like sort of not mentality, but sensibility. Like in the humour and sort of the Bruce Campbell as a lead in a character. Yeah. So I think it's within its niche. It's like it's both cultish but incredibly popular.
That was the thing. Like, I was watching some of the special features on the Ultimate Edition, and there's interviews with the cast and crew. Like, they get them all back together, like everyone back together, all the girls and like the guy played Scott and things like that. And they're talking about Bruce Campbell was saying you can really see now how tame it is by today's standards, because it went from like Sam having to go to the UK or wherever to like maybe be prosecuted for making the film to now you can buy it in Kmart. Like, it's just there, uncut. Like, you know, no one's gonna flinch if you go to buy it. You know what I mean? So it's become like the kind of, as you say, it really is the poster boy for the video nasty.
Yeah,
you know, it's like everything that it's like everything that the video nasty should never have been, but it's kind of like the maximum of the irony,
right?
That, you know, like of the fact that they're all released now and more or less uncut, and freely available today. You know, and not nearly as bad as anyone said they were. You know what I mean? This is like the kind of the biggest example I can think of that's really this should never have been.
Right.
You know, like but then if it hadn't been, who knows how it would have turned out for it. Would it still be the talking point that it is today? Who knows?
I think it's a film that's quite skillfully made. You can see Raimi that he's got sort of inherent skill in there. It's a lot of nice touches, but I think it is quite rough.
Oh yeah,
as you can tell, it's a first film.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought it was maybe lacking was a bit of suspense.
See, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But I was listening to one of the commentaries, and I think it was Bruce Campbell was saying that like, the pacing of the film's pretty slow by today's standards.
Right.
There's a lot of time at the beginning where nothing really happens, and then even after like the kind of it starts to kick off, it slows down again for a wee bit. You know, so I mean, I'm not saying that builds suspense, but certainly it's not as if it eventually gets to the point where it's right in your face the whole time. But certainly for the first 20-25 minutes, it's or longer. I can't remember. I've not checked it, but there is a bit of kind of build up.
Right.
But I mean, it does go straight in with the tape recorder more or less, I guess. But
so I felt the pace was quite fast, meant to be quite fast. But
I mean, I've never noticed it necessarily before. But when he said it, I kind of know, because there's a lot of cabin looking around the cabin. You know, and like kind of, you know, and even when they're down in the he goes down to the basement for the first time.
Okay.
You know.
Right. Maybe that was something as a result of not having all that much plot.
Definitely
to work with.
I think it was a result a lot of as well. Like having. Like, there was something they said like they couldn't get the cabin for a while as well.
Right. Okay.
But so I don't know whether they kind of had to fill it with shots or other thing. I don't know.
Right.
Because apparently it took like a week to shoot the car scene at the beginning. And you know the near crash and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because I felt a break from something like Night of the Living Dead or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which build their suspense.
Sure.
Whereas this film is a sort of stylistic jump into more like pure visual horror. So it's more about the style we would see later in the 80s with the slasher boom, where it was not necessarily about terror, but it was about kills and the sort of craziness, how gory, how nasty could the kills be.
I get you. That was like one thing I was going to say when you were saying about the kind of the time period it was set, you know, and where it was come from. Like, because we'd had Halloween already, and Friday the 13th was
1980,
81. 80. So it's kind of interesting that it's not a slasher. You know what I mean? So that from that I quite like, because a lot of the kind of quite a few of the video nasties have that kind of element to it, especially as it comes into more the mid 80s. But it's quite interesting the fact that they didn't choose to go with that. Right. That seemed to be the popular thing. You know what I mean? Friday the 13th did it specifically for that to copy Halloween. You know, but they referenced Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Night of the Living Dead as two of their main influences in you know where to stage it kind of, and the fact that especially Night of the Living Dead, like the kind of zero budget raise the money kind of thing, the way they did it, you know, the template. So I see what you're saying. I do. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to judge how much suspense has been built up now, having seen it so many times.
Right.
I think I guess it feels like, I think the film is meant to, like, knowing about it a wee bit before I went into it. It's almost like kind of wait to get to the bits.
Okay.
So you don't maybe notice whether there's tension building. You just like what's going to happen, when's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way it's meant to be, more of a kind of roller coaster.
Yeah.
Rather than, and whereas a roller coaster, you are getting some suspense, but you kind of know when it's happening and you're very aware of it.
Yeah.
You know? I
think
know.
Where the film kind of falls down for me a wee bit is the second half. I think the first half's really good. I really like all the characters, even though the acting's no the greatest. The sort of
improv actors there, I think.
Yeah, I think it generally works really well. But the problem in the second half is everyone gets killed off, basically turned to zombies. It's just Ash, which I can see why he chose that, because obviously Bruce Campbell is a star. Like, you know, that guy's going to be a star.
And I think a lot of I don't know if it came from a lot of the people leaving as well.
Right. Okay.
Or like having to leave, so they got people to fake shemp, as they call it, you know, pretend to be them in makeup.
But I think you're not invested in the character enough in the first half to justify it becoming a solo piece. And I think it becomes slightly just more about the effects. It's kind of a vehicle for all what can we do, the crazy effects. I mean, the effects are amazing themselves. That's definitely an achievement, but it's less about character or the theme or story. I feel that I do drop out the film a wee bit in the second half. I was finding that. I think in Evil Dead 2 what's a bit better, because they make that the characters develop more. You're more invested.
And I mean, the whole beginning of Evil Dead 2 is basically a remake of Evil Dead,
right? Aye,
because they couldn't access, they weren't allowed to use the licensed footage from Evil Dead 1. I think they actually they planned to shoot the whole like a short version of Evil Dead 1 with like more actors and stuff like that. You know, obviously it's just his girlfriend that's in the beginning of Evil Dead 2. But that must have fell through. But yeah, like the way that kind of gets Ash on his own like fairly quickly.
Aye.
But then it brings characters in near the end, and then they still kind of get it eventually.
Aye.
But no, I know what you mean. I think there's a quote that they all kind of pulled out. It was one of their, I can't remember if it was like a lecturer or something, or I think it was maybe somebody that they showed it was one of the investors, that's what it was,
right,
who they showed Within the Woods to, the 30-minute film they shot to get money, to raise money. Told them, like, that, you know, that's good, boys, but just keep the blood running down the walls, basically, or running down the screen.
Aye.
And I think actually running down the screen maybe it was, and there's a couple of scenes where that actually literally happens. Where there's blood running down the screen, you know. So I think they were just kind of going for like, let's just have loads of blood and go like, as much as we can, go mental with it. Which probably from budget reasons, story reasons, and the fact of having like the cast leave or whatever and shooting kind of restrictions, maybe the only way they could have went with it.
I mean, to what extent were they making a film that they were trying to sell in a way? Like, were they, because I read somewhere that they went to some drive-ins and stuff and saw the kind of films that were playing.
Well, I think the original thing was that they were Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert, the director and producer, were at college, right? And they'd found out that they could hire this auditorium,
right? And
they get like a student discount, like very reduced rates. And they showed some of like Sam and Bruce's, no, that's like low budget shorts that they'd made,
right? And
they charged like 50 cents or whatever at the door, and they made like, I don't know, like $1,500 or something like that, or maybe more, right? And they're like, we could, and then they started going to the drive-ins and they saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things like that, and thought we could make, like, not specifically Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but they said we can make better films than what we're seeing here. Yeah. We could make a film that was better than this. And that's where it came from. And you know, the equation of like, well, if we can make that amount of money with these little shorts that are nothing really, if we actually go out to make a film, we could definitely make Within the Woods. They funded that themselves off of the money from the college that they'd made, showed it to investors, and then they paid for it, the investors. So after that, it was like, we need to finish the film. You know what I mean? There was no option. So
I was just wondering, were they trying to make it as gratuitous as they could to kind of appeal to the kind of drive-in audience, like,
probably
because you have to be with that type of audience. It's weird because you're in a car. It's like you have to. It's almost like pantomime. You have to
really
make
exaggerate
everything over the
things.
top. Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, that seemed to be the kind of theory behind it. Was make this kind of big like show. You know. I mean, they all kind of came from like quite theatrical. Well, theatrical as in like over the top, like doing like slapstick and stuff like that. I think Bruce Campbell had done a lot of theatre. But like making the shorts and stuff like that, you know, comedy shorts, most of them. I think they'd only made kind of one kind of horror-esque thing. They were very into the Three Stooges, you know, that was the kind of one of their main influences in film and, you know, comedy shtick. So I think they were just really going. It was an amalgam of the two. I think they probably went out with the make a straight horror film. That was one of the comments he got. From one of the investors when he showed it to them, was like, I thought you were going to make a horror film, and like he says, my heart just sank. He says, I don't think the guy knew how much of an insult it was, because I did try to make a horror film. So, and then there was other folk that, like, I mean, reports of people having to walk out cinema, like, thrown up, you know. So every, like, what's the word, extreme, you know, like going from people who loved it, people who hated it because it was too, you know, wasn't as scary, people who hated it because it was gross, you know. But I think they probably that was their intention, was to max out everything. And as I say, especially when they were limited for the second or the third act, they probably just thought, let's just throw everything in. And I think there was a lot of you know how they talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like a lot of kind of insanity actually on set. They were talking a lot about the latex point that the actors seemed to have, like in the Evil Dead, like when they were in the makeup for too long,
Right.
they would become there was one the girl that played Cheryl, like Ellen Sandweiss. Apparently, she had the makeup on, and like, one night she'd been in it for so long. She had these contact lenses that you're only meant to have for 15 minutes,
Right. Aye.
like maximum of 5 times per day, like full eye contact lenses, and she just went mental and started ripping the makeup off and everything, and just like that was it. They couldn't shoot anything else that night because she was just gone.
Okay.
And apparently a lot of people had that, like being trapped down under the because there was no cellar in the cabin. It was all just it was a hole.
Right.
The cellar was shot somewhere else. So apparently a lot of people. So I don't know if there was a bit of a kind of let's just max this out to get it done.
Right.
Like you know that way. Like you'd be shooting something, and can you make that a little more? Can you go a wee bit further? Can you scream a wee bit more? So I think after a point it was just like, boom, let's get out of here and get this finished. I'm putting it to 11,
Yeah. The making of, so I was talking about the sort of hellish conditions. It was like staying in the barn, the cottage. There was no heating, no showers. And I've read things, I don't know how true this is, but there's an extent to like Sam took some pleasure in like putting actors through that, particularly Bruce. Like,
well, no, I don't know about the actor. Definitely Bruce. He was quite mean to him. There were some comments about like he would be kind of, we just need to get the shot kind of thing with the actors, right? But I think he was a nice enough guy about like afterwards, but he just like he needed to get it.
Yeah.
Because obviously they were under pressure from like they'd had to make the money back for the investors or they were out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a funny thing, like apparently Bruce hurt his ankle one time just after a shot.
Right.
He was quite happy they'd finished for the night. They thought, he's guessing he was kind of running down the hill. It was just after he dug the hole for Linda to bury her. And he went over on his ankle. He really fucked it.
Right.
And apparently Sam and Rob Tapert like took great pleasure in poking his ankle with a stick repeatedly, and apparently you can see it like you can see it in the film, like him limping a couple of times because he just can't. He's like, so I think that was like the kind of the level, the kind of at that point you're maybe thinking, is that kind of what's the word? Franticness maybe making its way into the film near the end in the performance, and maybe the fucking just like let more blood, fuck it, just tag it on, you know what I mean? So I think sometimes they were having a lot of fun as well,
right?
And sometimes it was just like, fuck it, we need to get this done and get out of here. So I don't know. As I say, I find it like I don't know. I get what you're saying, the flaws, and I'm not saying they're not there, but that to me it adds charm for me. As I say, I really was in it. We were talking before about like the comparisons to Evil Dead 2, and what you kind of thought before, and I had a similar feeling. Like I had previously thought I'd enjoyed Evil Dead 2 more, but certainly like watching them back to back before this and stuff, I much more love Evil Dead.
I think it is a better one.
Definitely.
When I first saw Evil Dead years ago, I watched it on Love Film, like instant watch.
Oh, aye.
And it was back when I had like a crappy internet connection, so every 10 minutes it would buffer.
Right.
So I think that affected my enjoyment of the film.
Oh my god! How long have you had Love Film for?
Oh, years.
Really? Like, I didn't realise they did streaming way back then.
Right, I've done it for.
How long? When was that? You first saw it?
2 or 3 years ago.
That's not that long ago. Was that the first time you saw it?
Aye.
Oh, really?
Aye.
Holy crap. Oh, there you go.
So then I saw 2 after that, and I can't remember how I saw that, but that was a better. Enjoyed the viewing of the film, and that it's you can see the progression. Like everything's about it. It's tightened up. It's more professional. It's a bit more backstory.
But definitely more slapsticky though, and cheese.
That's true. Yeah,
like the bits at the beginning with Bruce Campbell and Linda, and he's like chatting her up and stuff. And I mean, some of his lines are classic. I mean, they really are. But I mean, some of the lines in Evil Dead are classic though.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite, I think, line is when he says to Scott, "What are we going to do?" And Scott says, "We need to bury her, like Shelley." And he goes, "We can't bury Shelley. She's a friend of ours." He says it's totally straight. There's some amazing ones though, like when he's like Scott's like dying on the couch and making him drink the water, and he says about me, you, Shelley, Linda. Maybe not Shelley. Wouldn't you like to go home? I bet you'd like that.
Right.
I just love that one because I just played totally straight. Like you do, because you don't know whether it's just are they having a nudge wink or is it just like just say something, you know? And like, oh man, Bruce Campbell's inability to tackle a simple bookshelf.
Right.
2 times in the film, a bookshelf. I remember seeing it like 2 years ago, or a year, maybe not last year, the year before. On Halloween, we went to see it at the Glasgow Film Theatre, and I remember like I was with one of our friends, Scott, and there's a bit where I actually whispered to him because there's a bit where he's on his own near the end, and he's looking for. It's after Cheryl's got out of the basement, and he's going into the room, and he kind of goes in, the camera's over his shoulder, and you see a bookcase, and he looks kind of hesitant. And I was whispering to Scott, I says, he's fucking thinking about that bookcase. Oh, stay away from that bookcase. But I think there was in the commentary, Bruce Campbell was saying about that. It says like basically the idea was that they had to keep Ash busy for a few seconds so there was a bit of suspense because Scott was tackling Shelley.
Okay.
Right. So the idea was someone has to stop him getting over there. And he says like looking back now as a little more experienced actor, I should just have pretended to be a bit more knocked out instead of wrestling with the one shelf, the fucking like MDF shelf. Don't work in IKEA, you know what I mean? But I mean, technically, even there's some like, amazing stuff. As it said about the tilt, you know, the camera tilt with the car. I mean, I remember the first time I saw that, you do kind of like wonder what the hell's happening, and it's such a like a simple camera trick when you actually work out how it's done. Because the camera's obviously tilted with the car's actually on the incline, right? And the camera's like that, so when Bruce gets out and walks normally, it looks like he's over on his side.
Okay.
I remember that shot. It's a fucking classic shot.
Right.
You can watch the film. But there's other times as well, like with the tilt and the way it's done. But a shot that I still like can't. And I've heard how it's done or how it was done, but I still can't get my head around how they did it all with like with no CG,
right?
With no like really like money for proper effects, like the puddle mirror.
Oh, aye.
That's a really good effect. I thought, you know, it was really well done. Because it's really effective and it looks really high quality. You don't really. Apparently, it was just done with like a kiddie's pool with like a mirror thing, but then you'd have to do the wall and stuff as well. It just seems like quite advanced,
right? Aye,
you know, quite technically advanced for what the rest of the kind of story around it would imply.
Well, that shot's quite interesting because that kind of shows Raimi's sort of cine literate.
Yes, aye.
Even though it's quite amateurish in some ways, quite rough, he's putting a lot of stuff in there that shows he has a sophistication. I mean, that shot comes from Jean Cocteau film, Orpheus, which is sort of a French kind of surrealist type thing. And then he's thrown in like Dutch angles in there.
Well, apparently he was saying like, let's shoot it like this.
Yeah.
And like everyone was like looking at him as if he was mental.
Right.
But he's like, no, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And I mean, it works. It really does. Especially there's one section when Ash comes out of the basement after getting the shotgun shells. That every shot as the kind of cabin goes mental. Right. Aye. Is like some different angle. You know what I mean? And it's really effective.
Aye.
It kind of giving that kind of craziness, you know. Yeah. That like is being implied.
Yeah. Even that shot, which is really unusual, is when Ash is walking along, it's through the rafters.
The rafters, that's really good. Down. No, and the noise, the fact that he put in a sound effect for the camera, but that's like, I mean, it's still kind of like still gets you a little bit. That's really cool, you know. Like, why is that making a noise?
Yeah. So, do you know the names of all the cams that they made up?
I know there was the Ramo cam.
Right. What was
that? Was all for the window.
Right. Okay. The Vaso cam.
The Vaso cam,
which is the dolly.
The dolly, the slide.
Vaseline dolly.
Yeah. That's when he's dragging thingy out. Right. I think it's Linda. Yeah. When she's dead, in theory, before he buries her, he drags her out, and the camera's going down. Thingy. There was the force. The effect, you know, the entity basically, which was like a camera in the middle of in the middle of two.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I don't think it's all shot that way though, because they speak about the end bit being Sam Raimi running through the house.
I thought I read that was a bike. they were on a bike or something.
Well, in the commentary, like the Bruce Campbell commentary, he says about like, that Sam running through the house, and he says he basically ran into me, like when the people open the doors.
Right.
And he goes, now there's actually been a rumour that's been put about that Sam was actually on a motorbike.
Right.
And he actually says, but I'm not going to tell you. No, I'm not going to. What he says? He basically says it's a lie, but I'm not going to change. I'm not going to tell you that it's not a lie. Because I don't want to like affect the kind of the funness of that rumour. I don't think he was on a motorbike.
Alright, not even like a pedal bike.
I don't think so.
Alright, that's weird because it looks quite smooth.
I mean, maybe it is, but like I'm sure he would have said because he says about it running first, then it's almost like he backtracks and says, "Oh, but there was this rumour, and I'm not going to tell you whether that's true or not." So I don't think so.
The camera and the plank is maybe the most iconic stylistic thing in the film.
Mm-hmm. Even the beginning,
it looks amazing. You wouldn't know it's not a Steadicam.
No, definitely not. Even the beginning, the actual first shots is apparently it's Sam in a dinghy in the water.
Oh yeah.
And Bruce pushing.
Because at worst, I was wondering but how did they do it? If it was across the river. But then I saw one of the documentaries talking about there was a boat or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of kind in the deleted scenes. There's a 50-minute or 60-minute deleted scenes montage. Right. Not watched it all, but the first bit is basically a lot of test shots that weren't so smooth with the entity running through the forest. But as I said, I don't know how he did the last shot then, because it couldn't have been the two before because there's not enough room in the house for the people to be running through. So the only explanation is that he ran it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it would be a bike. I mean, you would have to put it on his shoulder or something? How would you bike in?
I don't know, I've attached it to the handlebars maybe or something.
Maybe. I mean, I really don't know. But that's one of the things. It's like took the kind of the POV. Yeah. Took the POV of like the killer or entity from like your Halloween and other slasher films, and really kind of put it into like fifth gear,
Yeah, totally. Because obviously Steadicam has been about since '76, I think it was first used. But I think they put it on overdrive. Nobody's done it that fast.
Yeah, definitely.
What about cliches in the film? Do you feel it is a bag of cliches?
Oh, now it is definitely. I mean, I don't know how cliched it would have been. I mean, you've got the girl going out into the woods herself, shouting, right, or like speaking to herself, right? Like, you've got the monster in the basement potentially, even before there's a monster in the basement.
Aye,
if you know what I mean. You don't have the hero girl that you usually have. You get a guy.
That's another thing I was going to talk about. Kind of inverts that convention, even though that hadn't totally came to it had boomed with the slasher cycle.
Sure.
But even before that, it was generally something like Dracula. It's a feminine protagonist who's rescued by a man or something like that, which is the norm. I guess it's kind of just reflects sort of patriarchy that we can't have that the male's got to be the hero.
Sure.
We can't have like a male character in distress. Nobody's going to want to see that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what other cliches? What yourself?
Well, the big one is sort of cabin in the woods.
Right. Yeah.
But I was thinking that's a cliche now.
Yeah.
This was kind of contemporaneous.
I mean, I can't.
I
mean, I don't have the knowledge, but I can't think of another cabin in the woods story before this.
Obviously, not explicitly a cabin, but the sort of remote location is obviously great fodder for any horror. Where you're kind of the rules of civilization don't really apply when you're in a remote area. You can even go back to like the Gothic tradition with the sort of vampire's castle. And going through to like Night of the Living Dead's a bit sort of cabin in the woodsy.
You've got kind of Friday 13th. I mean,
that was kind of the first
teenagers
one.
going to like a kind of camp. But I mean, the actual cabin in the woods, a bunch of friends go and crazy shit happens. I don't know if it was done necessarily before this. I mean, we could be totally wrong.
I couldn't really find any. You had other things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre's a bit like that as well. Something, even things like that are more sort of taking a character out of the safety of civilization, like Deliverance,
Sure.
or I Spit in Your Grave. It's a bit of that.
Yeah.
But that's a kind of pure horror. That's great stuff for horror.
Yeah.
That kind of convention.
But
I think the Cabin in the Woods would have boomed with a slasher.
Yeah.
Psycho after.
I mean, I think the going to the remote location had already become like a cliche maybe by that point. But the actual specific Cabin in the Woods has been used so many times now that has become its own cliche.
Yeah.
I mean, so much when the point where there's a film called The Cabin in the Woods.
Right.
Did you see that, by the way?
I didn't see it. No.
No. I mean, I'm a big Joss Whedon fan. Like, I mean, he wrote it with Drew Goddard, the guy that wrote Cloverfield,
Right.
and he directed it. But I felt like some of it worked, but like I felt they gave the game away. Like they gave the game away the big thing, the twist, if you will, in the way in the first 5 minutes, and I felt like it was weak after that.
Okay.
I didn't feel there was any great gravitas to it. But I mean, funny, you know, it wasn't straight horror, it wasn't straight funny, right? It had some interesting bits in it, but I felt like it was some clever bits, but I felt like it almost thought it was too clever for its own good.
Okay, right.
I felt something like Cabin Fever. Do you see that?
I didn't see that.
No.
Is that Eli Roth?
Yeah, I felt that did something different, better.
Okay.
Because you don't like Eli Roth?
I can't say I'm a fan.
No, because of the Hostel films.
Right. Well, I think that's the only 2 films I've seen, but it seems like a total hack.
I've
to
never
me.
seen
Right.
either of the Hostel films, but or any of them. I think there's 3 now. But Cabin in the Wood, Cabin Fever, like kind of well, you know anything about it?
I thought I heard it was like kind of just a total Evil Dead remake, like.
Well,
just
no,
like
it's not.
Rip off rather.
No, because there's nothing supernatural in it at all.
All right. Okay.
It's you think it's going to be that, and that's the way it's set up, right? And that's obviously where he's got the inspiration from,
Right.
I mean, he admits that that's literally what he took from it. But so the friends go to the cabin, and there's some funny bits in it. Actually, there's some quite clever bits. And they go to the cabin, and then stuff starts happening, and somebody turns up dead or killed, like mutilated almost, not one of their party, someone else. But it actually turns out it's like a flesh-eating virus that's been unleashed nearby. But it plays out like either a slasher film or something supernatural for a wee bit.
All right.
And then you get this, and it's not that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people trying to not catch this virus.
Right.
But the way it plays out is like, you know, you're again expecting an Evil Dead rip.
Okay.
Or some sort of slasher film. It was quite refreshing. I thought this is actually all right, you know. So I feel that did it a little bit, did something different, better.
Okay.
Than Cabin in the Woods, and that's maybe sacrilege to some people's ears. I think a lot of people liked that film or loved that film, but I need to watch it again. But I didn't feel it was as clever as it thought it was being.
Right.
It was well written, but the actual structure was like gave it away too quickly, I thought. Anyway, coming back,
more cliches. It does do the kind of zombie cliche, which I guess is kind of de rigueur when it's your pal becomes a zombie and you don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
Or your girlfriend's.
Yeah.
No, she's alright. She's alright. But I mean, it's less of a cliche back then. I would think. Night of the Living Dead did it. Dawn of the Dead was before this, wasn't it? Is that
Dawn of the Dead
78 or something?
Yeah, because Night of the Dead was 69.
Aye.
Yeah. I mean, like watching it at this time, like having seen all the Fulci stuff, I thought the look for the early zombies was kind of similar to some, like, you know, the eyes, the Beyond, you know, the kind of.
That's Fulci shots, Fulci would have been either the same time or after.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, because I was starting thinking, I wonder if he's seen, you know, if he's been kind of taking any influence.
Aye.
Because even the kind of supernatural zombie, rather than the kind of science fiction zombie, almost you would say that Romero does, you know, was more of a kind of reference. But I know, I mean, it definitely felt like there was nods there, but I don't know whether. When was Flesh Eaters released?
79.
79. So I mean, it would have been just this time. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible that the makeup artist had seen that in 79 and thought it was a good idea.
I mean, not necessarily horror cliches, but there's a few kind of dramatic cliches you might say, like the bridge being down, can't escape the cottage, the car. It does start and end, but it's a bit kind of only start. There's another one. They do like a looting bus. You know that?
No.
You know what a looting bus is?
No.
A looting bus is it's a horror cliche where it's normally in the first act of the film where you're building up something that's getting suspenseful, the music's going, you think it's going to be a big scare, and it turns out it's like a totally passive thing. It's like a power or something.
Aye.
Like The Exorcist when Ellen Burstyn's in the attic, and she thinks she hears something. It's a bird.
Right.
It comes from Val Lewton, who was a producer at RKO.
Right.
And produced a series of like horror, sort of noirish horrors in the 40s, like in the film Cat People.
Okay.
There's a character being chased by someone. It's building up, and then you think she's going to get attacked, but then a bus pulls up.
Ah, right.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
Oh, so yeah, like, I mean, a lot of horror films do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The bit where Scott goes down to the basement, and then he doesn't come back, and then Ash goes down, and then he goes boo, like it scares him.
Well, you've also got the bit with when Cheryl's been chased through the woods after the infamous scene,
right?
And she's trying to get the keys, struggling to get the keys open,
right?
And although the entity is there, Ash grabs her,
right? Okay.
And I mean that's probably the kind of, I mean, they did it a wee bit as well with the, like, because they kind of talk about the unsuccessful scare of the film, when Cheryl's kind of scratching out the Book of the Dead in her pad,
aye,
and then it's focused on something, and it just switches to the blender, like a blood looks like red. It's like obviously a margarita mix or something. They're making some sort of drink, and it's like a blender. It goes like that right in the middle of the screen. It looks like blood or something. You know, they always say that didn't really work, but they were trying to be kind of giving folk a jump or whatever. But yeah, no, I didn't know that was the term for that. But I mean, every fucking horror film uses that, don't they? Now there's no. If I ever make a horror film, and like a proper horror film, I'm never gonna put that in it. I'm just kidding. I was like, no, I'm lying. I'll probably put that in.
There's a few other, not necessarily cliches, but like references to other horror movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Picked up quite a few. Well, The Exorcist, I thought was quite a lot. When Linda becomes a zombie demon.
Or I thought more when Cheryl becomes, when she's in the basement and stuff like that.
Right.
More a voice.
The voice
like,
mimicry. But I thought the makeup was exactly like Linda Blair.
Yeah.
They're doing the eye, the contact lens eyes.
Sure. I love the bit where like Cheryl grabs him for down in the basement, like through the wood.
Right.
And she's grabbing at him, and she just screams, "It's your sister, Cheryl!"
Right.
I just love it, because before that she's been pretending that she's all right again.
And there's a line that's lifted right out of Rosemary's Baby,
right?
Like paraphrased.
See, I thought they'd reference that in the commentary, because I mean, I haven't seen Rosemary's Baby, but I know that line. You know, I know that scene.
Well, they change it to her eyes, rather than his eyes. But
there was a bit. Apparently, there's some music taken from The Third Man. It's a music cue. Again, I haven't seen that, so I didn't notice it. But apparently, there's a sound.
All right.
That was in The Third Man, that they, or a music cue or something they took. But yeah, there's a poster, the Hills of Ice poster in the basement. You notice that? Apparently that was a thing between them and Wes Craven eventually. It was a bit of a tit for tat eventually.
All right.
But apparently in the Hills Have Eyes, and the, what do you call it, the trailer or whatever.
Right.
Have you seen that film?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've not seen it.
Okay.
But is there a trailer or something? Like a caravan or something?
Yeah.
Apparently in there's a poster of Jaws ripped in half.
Alright.
And Sam Raimi took this as like, is that like Wes saying like, you thought Jaws was like a horror or like you know, a thriller or whatever, tension building? Well, that's fucking nothing compared to this.
Right, okay.
What's going on in this fucking trailer?
Right.
So the thing was that he was doing the whole thing like, well, you thought House of Ice was a proper horror, like that, fuck you, like this is, you know. And then I think they've done it. There's been a reference in, I don't know if Nightmare on Elm Street did something, or I don't know. And then there was The Last House on the Left. Or
in Nightmare on Elm Street, the main cat, she's watching it at one point. Is she not?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, aye.
Aye, yeah. It's no Johnny Depp that's watching it.
Is he?
I think it's Johnny Depp that's watching it. Might be wrong, but aye, yeah, you're right. Aye. I think in Evil Dead 2, Freddy's claws actually on the next to the chainsaw, near where the chainsaw is in the tool shed.
Okay.
I'm sure there's something like that.
Right.
But yeah, so there's definitely references there.
Aye.
And
Carrie as well.
Yeah,
that kind of the hand coming out.
Sure. And the drowned in blood.
Right.
Well, the bit where he goes down to the basement the second time and the pipe bursts and he just gets
blood
all over his face. They just love like splatting.
Yeah, I mean, What do you think about Raimi's use of that?
I think that it's someone who's maybe not a horror director trying to make a horror. If you know, and I don't mean that any slight to him at all. I mean, I don't know. It might be lack of budget, lack of maybe imagination, or more likely like let's technically try and do these things and not worry about necessarily the story. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like worrying more about let's see what we can do, rather than like this is a cliche.
Yeah.
We should maybe not do this, or you know what I mean. Like, they're talking about the only like Bruce Campbell saying only now is Sam Raimi being able to make Sam Raimi films,
right?
Because he's getting the money to be able to do it.
Yeah.
When they did Evil Dead, they didn't have enough money to make a Sam Raimi film because the ideas he had, they couldn't afford to do. So I don't know whether that is maybe them covering their backs. I don't know, but maybe that's to, maybe they're doing what they can do. Physically.
Yeah, I mean, it is a first film, so any artist start like copying what you like, and then you find your own version of it. I think it's forgivable. I mean, I don't see it as like a kind of Tarantino reference homage style. I don't think that's what they're going for.
No, I think it's a little more earnest than that. It's definitely like we're trying to do this, and as in like you say, emulate, and we're trying to see if we can do that and make it look like it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting that you can have all those things that I've done before in there, but also create quite an original style within that. So
there's definitely a style that kind of followed through with the Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I mean, let's see, looking at Army of Darkness especially, it's, again, that was one that I really enjoyed. I haven't watched it recently. I watched the bits of it before this, before we came to this. But I feel like I don't know how much I enjoy the slapstickiness of it now.
Right.
So you can see, I think that's more his style. Like that kind of like comedy esqueness, you know what I mean, like having a bit of tongue in cheek. So I think that's maybe, as I say, I think it's maybe him not quite being a horror director but making that a horror film, because it's like a Sam Raimi horror film. Literally, like looking at it now, it's a stylized horror film in the style of Sam Raimi.
Right.
Looking at his like work since, he seems to have a style that is definitely there in Evil Dead, that is more accentuated in the sequels.
Right, yeah.
Although there's some people that say that he only made Evil Dead 2 funny because he got so much hassle about the first one.
Well, I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how true that is, but
I mean, they had the comedy style was there from Evil Dead, so
it definitely was. I mean, there was definitely tongue in cheek moments, and I think like Bruce Campbell says he loved doing the kind of pratfalls, like jumping into walls and stuff like that. He says I don't do them so much now when my back goes out for the third or fourth time, but he always used to love doing them. So I think there's a bit in Evil Dead 2 where he actually flips himself.
Oh,
he grabs the back of his shirt, and he says the only reason that's in the film is because Sam knew I could do that, because they used to do this like thing at high school. It was like a duo act for like the talent shows or whatever, and they could both do it, flip themselves like that. And he knew that he could do it. And he says, at that moment, I wish to hell he didn't know I could do it. Because, it's just fucking amazing. There's no pads, nothing they don't know if, you know what I mean? Boom. But that's the thing, like, with Evil Dead, like, the kind of sheer willpower it must have took to get through that shoot for actor and filmmaker.
Right.
Doing everything. Even the ones that had to leave after the 6 weeks, I think, were still put through. I mean, there was, after the tree rape, which we haven't spoken about really yet.
Talk about that, yeah.
Like there's a bit where Cheryl's running through the woods, and she'd like barefoot, like just through the woods. And there's dolly track, wood, just wood, and apparently like the next day they found all this blood over the tracks, and it was actually her blood. She'd cut all her feet and stuff. But yeah, so maybe the most controversial scene in the film. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is the best scene in the film, actually. I think it's the most interesting.
It's the most creative, as well, because
it's the most
apparently none of them, especially not like the girl that played Cheryl, knew what they had or how like graphic quotation marks or violent the scene was going to look.
Right, aye.
But it definitely, it's well done. Shot in reverse most of it, and it's really quite clever.
I like the sort of the bizarreness of it, the surrealness of it, the sort of inanimate objects that come into life. I think that I would like to have saw the film maybe pursue that more than going the whole zombie thing. But
I mean, they kind of do that a bit more in the second one, but it's a little more comedic. I mean, they actually have trees stand up and walk to work and start thumping the cabin in the second one.
Yeah.
So
it's something like
glad they didn't go that far.
Going back to like I think Snow White might do that as well. I can't remember exactly, but it's a Wizard of Oz as well. It's in that. Obviously, it's a controversial scene. I think it's justified to some extent. The sort of controversy. You could argue that the way that it's done is sort of making light of rape, just because they make a kind of joke of it when the penetration occurs. It's slightly comic.
Yeah.
Raimi said he regretted putting it in.
He said I think again maybe because the hassle was getting over it. I think you probably put that in there for shock value. I mean, I'd probably admit that. I mean, if he's regretting it, that's what he's done it for. Was for like kind of shock value,
right?
So, but I don't know. I think it's really well executed. Other than that last shot, that fucking big fucking branch, I think that's the bit that looks the oddest out of the whole thing. I don't know if it needed that.
Right.
I think that was maybe just done for shock value. That might be. I think that seems to be the bit that loses all the women.
Right.
They were saying. I think Rob Tappert was saying that his wife always tells the story. She saw it when she was like 18, which was like maybe 10, 15 years before she met her husband. And she thought to herself, who the hell are these sick bastards that made this film? And then later on she ended up marrying one of them. So I think that's the shot that that maybe didn't need to be there. I think that could have been implied
possibly
better. But I think that was the shock value. But I think the rest of it holds up, like in terms of the animation of it and the actual kind of like what the fuck's happening here. You know, I think the only bit when it starts to pull our legs apart, I always get like do you remember in Ghostbusters? You never know. There's a bit in Ghostbusters where Dan Aykroyd has a dream. He's staying in the firehouse the first night or something like that, and he has a dream, and it's this ghostly woman who who's floating above his bed and starts to unzip his trousers. She disappears, and his trousers unzip like magically, and then it's like he's getting a blowjob, right? And for some reason, that when the leg, it always goes slapstick for me, as if because she kind of looks down to say, "What?" Right? You know, because it just looks a wee bit kind of comedic, and it always reminds me of that kind of tone, like in Ghostbusters for some reason. But it's definitely that big branch that gets.
Yeah, I can understand the kind of female perspective, but it's just a shame because I think that's definitely the most out there scene. It's just so bizarre.
Definitely, I think the aftermath of that works pretty well with the chase and her reaction to it, like, and the fact that like she's the one that knew all along there was something no right kind of thing, more or less. I think probably the female reaction would probably still quite, maybe not as violently anti towards it, more of kind of like, what the fuck's that, get it off?
Right.
Or what's this rubbish, you know what I mean?
Aye.
I think the kind of mainstream female would probably turn it off after that. No, I think maybe.
Yeah.
But then I don't think that unless you've seen it maybe way back, I don't know if you would sit through it.
Right.
You know, unless you're watching it because you knew what it was, I don't know whether you'd sit through it anyway. You know, I don't know. I think it's definitely it's a well acted scene.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes too light of it until that shot. Because she's definitely distressed. It's not as if she's like into it or anything like that. You know. I mean the equivalent scene in the sequel, when there's no actual rape, it's just the tree grabbing, I think is a little more comedic because it literally drags her into a tree.
Okay. Right, so originally 1983 cinema release, it was past X after 49 seconds of cuts. Linda's ankle being pierced with a pencil.
Oh,
cut
yeah.
By two
apparently
cuts
there was the twisting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't like that much.
Other ones, Ash tries to kill Linda, 8 cuts. Cheryl hitting Ash in the head with a poker. And then I didn't realise, I thought the original Palace video release was the uncut version. That's supposedly the same version, the cut cinema release.
That's what I'd heard. I thought they released it simultaneously.
Yeah.
They said that in one of the things.
I thought I got that from that documentary thing, yeah.
That's what the guy was saying, was like, we released it simultaneously.
Right.
What documentary was that? Was that on the...
That was on the DVD.
The making of documentary?
No, it was in a separate one just about the distribution.
Was it like the drive-in or something like that? No. I can't remember. Anyway,
right.
But yeah, they were talking to the two guys at
Stephen
Palace,
and
they said they released it simultaneously at the cinema and on
right,
video because they're saying that the markets were too different with different things. It was the first time it had ever been done, and apparently the last time they ever did it. But so I would have they said that was the same version.
Yeah.
So you're not getting that from Melon Farmers?
According to Melon Farmers, the video was a cut, same version.
So I didn't think they'd submitted it.
I don't know how that worked in, because I thought they would have had that opportunity just to release the uncut version.
If that was before the Video Nasty thing, there was no classification for video. Is that not what they said?
Aye.
That's what they said in the documentary. Anyway,
you did see that. We've seen that before with the cut versions getting released. But
that's true.
So that was 1983. The VHS came out. October 1983. It was added to the banned DPP list.
Right.
It was dropped from the list in September 85. Then 1990, in reaction, sort of following on from the Video Nasties, it was cut by a further 1 minute 6 seconds.
Jesus.
41 cuts there. Then finally, when was it uncut? 2001.
Aye,
I believe.
Yeah,
that was in the US.
What were
the same year? I think it was Anchor Bay released in the UK uncut as well.
What was the cut? The minute some cuts? Does it say what that was to?
BBFC removed a further 1 minute 6 seconds for video when submitted in 1990. There were 41 cuts specified. Cheryl been raped by the tree. Right, Ashley's fight with Shelley. Ash's fight with Linda. Ash's fight with Scott.
I think the fight with Linda is that when he just slaps her.
Right.
Apparently you can't do that now.
Exploding zombies. Zombies' face burning in the fire.
What are the best bits?
Right.
So all you've really got is Ash being held down by a plank of wood.
Right.
That's all that's left.
Yeah, so this was one of the big ones that was taken to court. It was one of the bigger court cases. Say a bit about that. So, under the Obscene Publications Act, Palace Pictures was prosecuted, and the case was on July 25th, 1984. I think that was the one Raimi turned up for, but the judge said, you don't need
you. All that way and then,
so judge the case was spread over 4 months, and when the judge seen the film, and he stated that he didn't regard the film as obscene, so there's no case to answer.
He basically told Palace that he doesn't think there's anything to answer for.
Yeah, so that was dismissed. But I think the problem was with the court cases, everyone was different. So in some places it was convicted as obscene, and other places it was like dismissed. I think that was why they moved away from prosecuting under the Obscene Publications Act, and they moved to bringing in like the Video Recordings Act, where it was stricter. Right, if it doesn't have a certificate, we can prosecute. Because that was a total.
That's like the whole
circus, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you should get a jury together to convict a murderer. Like if half of them say he did it, and the other half say he didn't do it. You know what I mean? They don't just make up a new act to say, well, we think he did it when he was, so just kill him. You know what I mean? Get him sorted.
So yeah, the Evil Dead dropped from the list, and it was moved to the 33. They dropped 33 of the 72.
Right. There you go. Coloured history. Would you again come back to do you think this would qualify still as a video nasty these days?
I can't say so. It seemed totally anomalous at the time.
Even, that's it.
Even with all the other films.
Aye. I mean, it's definitely 5 shades like away from or lighter than some of the stuff we've looked at, that was on the band list. That even that wouldn't, we wouldn't classify should still be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just the tone of it.
The only bit that you would think in the 80s, you'd think, right, well, they would probably automatically cut that just because of the time that it would be the tree scene, the tree rape. That's the only bit that you could say that they had some justification to cut anything.
Yeah.
If people were maybe sensitive about rape, right? That's the only bit that I could see that was, you know what I mean? Like they could argue, like with a kind of, this maybe shouldn't be happening or whatever. But like, even then, it's still pretty out there. It's trees, Anyway, well, I think that draws Evil Dead discussion to an end. Unfortunately, probably much more we could say on sequels and Raimi as a director and Bruce Campbell as a groovy guy. One of my heroes, Bruce Campbell says.
Is he?
No, seriously, I don't. Maybe not one of my heroes. I wouldn't. But like, no, I do. I really like him. And,
you ever emailed him?
Never emailed. No.
He answers all his emails.
Does he?
Supposedly.
Does he?
I saw that.
I've read his autobiography and stuff. That's really interesting. And I followed him onto some TV shows he's been on. Like, started watching the TV show just because he's on it. And generally, he's the best thing. Like, the TV shows are alright. Like, one Burn Notice, it's not a particularly amazing show or anything like that, but it's always worth it for his kind of banter and his kind of dry wit. It's pretty clever. I think I'd watch anything with him, and I've seen some of his really shitty stuff as well. Like, Maniac Cop he was in. And there's some really dodgy ones. Alien Apocalypse. But it's alright because he's in it. You know what I mean? You ever seen Bubba Hotep?
No,
it's alright as well.
One?
Yeah, it's alright. It's pretty good. It's for director Phantasm. I almost had it there. I can't remember his name. But yeah, definitely spawned a epic legacy. So, news, Gary. What we got?
Let's talk about HMV.
Cool, right? Talking about HMV.
One of the big stories in the UK.
It's actually a couple of similar stories.
Yeah, well, HMV is the big one. It's basically they're into administration now, aren't they? Officially, looks like the end for the on the high street for the last standing music and film.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of gone the way. It's kind of gone the way of the. Now are we going to get independent retailer?
Well,
like second-hand stores. You know what I mean? That's going to be it.
Yeah, maybe that might be better actually.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
yeah. People
the prices at HMV were ripping the hole out. To be fair,
well, that's one thing. Because there was a point where HMV had kind of Virgin went down, and HMV was the last one, and that was kind of the independents couldn't compete with the big chains. But now there might be an opportunity for them to come back. But it's been on the cards. I think they've been in like bad situation for. I remember hearing like after last Christmas, they were in a bad way. So I wonder there might be a chance to save a few of the stores. I don't know. That's what they're saying. That HMV is kind of maybe hoping it won't be total destruction. But
I mean, you look at somewhere like Glasgow, which has like 3 stores in the main city centre.
Does it?
Like within half a mile of each other. There's one in Buchanan Street, there's one in Argyle Street, and there's one on Sauchiehall Street. I think there's still one on Sauchiehall Street.
Is it?
Aye. So I mean, they don't need that.
I
mean, that one in Buchanan Street's plenty. You know what I mean? That's a big store.
Is that the old Virgin?
Yeah.
Is that HMV now? Alright, I've not been up in Glasgow for years.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's HMV.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, they need to downsize. Maybe thinking, you know, I mean, it's like they've kind of know it's been coming as well. I know it's hard because they've got staff. So how do you let them go without a big thing like, well, we're going to administration? You can't just let people go. So, I mean, some of the prices that they've been doing, I mean, even for sale prices, are more expensive than anything, even on their own website. Generally,
aye. I mean, to some extent, it's understandable. I mean, they've got the running costs of run that store, the staff. But
but
if they can't compete, then what can you do? I mean, I didn't buy much out of there.
no, I mean only online when there was cheap stuff, or you get 20% off, 10% off things.
Yeah,
like that.
it's a bit hypocritical. I mean, to some extent, I'm sad to see that there's no place you can go on the high street, but the amount of times I went in there is few and far between.
Sure,
so.
but would you would have went in if the prices were comparable with
Well,
online,
possibly,
or even their own store?
Aye.
You know what I mean? If you go online to HMV, you would get some. You could see some for £12, right? You get into the store and it's going to be at least a £5 dearer. Now, some people would say that's, but well, okay, £5. What the fuck, you're getting it there? And then, but I'm sorry, I'm like, for a £5 I can get something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's simple as it, and I can probably get it cheaper than the £12. I can get it on their website. You know, but I mean, there was stuff before Christmas, and I mean, I've got an example in one of my pickups, but I'll explain it when we get there. But something else like had the Lethal Weapon box set, the Blu-rays, right, the 4 films, in Sainsbury's,
okay,
for £10,
right,
and HMV it was £35,
right.
How you just can't do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it had been £12 or £15, I would say right, okay,
right,
you know.
Aye.
But because Sainsbury's has other income, they don't have the the collection that HMV has.
Aye.
So it's fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But no,
yeah, some I think supermarkets can kind of discount them as like kind of loss leaders, just to get people that are in there may want to buy it.
I guess, but you just can't have that kind of discrepancy between prices.
It's kind of unsustainable. What was I going to say now?
I mean, like Tesco's, Asda, and Sainsbury's now. We never used to have a Sainsbury's, but they were always like maybe a couple of pounds cheaper than even online sometimes.
Right.
And still, you know, and you can expect that. But having something that's 3 times the price is ripping the hole. You know what I think?
Yeah, I mean they did start to do the 5 for 30 Blu-ray deal was pretty good. They've been doing that for the last year or so. £6.
Again,
that's
not. It's not every Blu-ray included. Do you know what I mean?
No, well, true, but
oh no, I'm not saying it, but it's they're ripping the hole with a lot of their products.
There's been some criticism levied at Amazon as well, that saying Amazon's notorious for it came out earlier in the last year that they're not been paying taxes. They do all these tax dodges like having their premises in a different country they can, so they're not actually paying proper UK taxes.
Sure.
But to all extent and purposes they're a UK business, they operate in the UK. So HMV is paying all their taxes, corporation tax, but obviously if a company's not paying taxes they can
definitely
cut their prices. But
and that's fair enough. But at the end of the day, consumers going to go where they can get things cheapest. It's simple. And in that case, Amazon have just had a better business plan. Yeah, they've just been clever about it. You know what I mean?
Aye.
I mean, you're not going to tell me that HMV couldn't have brought their prices down to somewhere in comparison. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
And it's the whole thing that we're doing really bad business wise. We're not making enough money, so we chuck the prices of everything up. That's what it felt like, because it wasn't always that much. It wasn't always as expensive. I didn't think. There used to be some good sales on.
Right.
But I don't know. And they reduced their catalogue as well, because then they started doing all the the Macs and tablets. They're an area for just that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Air store that we've got here is wasn't a huge store, but I didn't think it had the space for that anyway. You know what I mean? The one in Glasgow, they have sections, and you're thinking, well, okay, fair enough if you've got that extra space, but they did away with a lot of it. I mean, they used to have a really good Blu-ray selection, a proper a thing. They brought it back recently, but for a while there they had one or two stands, single pack. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And you're like, it's not the way forward.
Yeah, when it comes to selection, brick and mortar stores just can't compete with online. Back in the 90s, I remember going to HMV was kind of, that's amazing. Look at what you can get.
Yeah, when they said they were opening one up in the air, it was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like we wanted this since we were kids, Because
you didn't get a chance to see this stuff. Could browse that all the CDs for ages, for hours.
I mean, I can still spend a good whack of time in there looking, but I never buy anything because everything's just
Yeah.
You know, I know that it's cheaper online. I've literally have my smartphone there and then I can check what the prices are online, and that's the thing that they don't seem to have wisened up to. Like, no one's going to do it. Buy things. They seem to be recently. They've been putting things in front of their like some tabs, like seeing like Tesco's and things like that.
Yeah.
They have like sealed cases that the discs are, or the boxes are actually in, and they've been putting like kind of stickies over the barcodes. So that you actually have to take it out to buy it.
Oh, okay.
To be able to scan the barcode, so you couldn't do that kind of shit. I just think in that day and age, they need to be able to like, at least say, well, it's less than a $5 dearer, so you can have it now. And a lot of people, not me, because I'd still be like, well, I can get it cheaper online, but a lot of people would be like, oh, that's fine. It's only a couple of pound. You know, but in the day and age where it's like, I say, 3 times the price, or you know, it's. You're just not going to get it. But as you say, like back in the day, that was the thing. It was like you went to Glasgow to go to HMV. That was it.
It's an event.
Yeah.
And especially if you're looking for more niche stuff, like just the capacity is not there to stock that.
Definitely.
Really. So something of a shame, but
definitely. A couple other retailers seem to be going as well. Play.com apparently are ceasing direct sales.
Right. Aye.
I don't know what that means for them. Like. Because they just get took over by that company fairly recently, didn't they? The last couple of years,
right.
Rebutican or something like that. And so is that just the website's just going to be like cease?
Well, supposedly this is going to continue as a marketplace.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. So right. Yeah. Well, that's.
Sellers.
I mean, that was always for me for a long while was Play's strength, because you know the price you see, because the postage was always free with them. You know, like Amazon. Like sometimes you go on, and it's like a pound odd extra. Like sometimes you think, oh well, but in Play it was always whatever the price was. That was you know, everything was free postage.
Yeah, Play got that out there first, didn't they? The free postage and everything.
Oh yeah,
that
was
kind of
free
innovative at the
time.
time. But then Amazon kind of
Amazon used to cost, but Play was always free. But Play get really sloppy recently. Since they took over that company, it became more in line with like Zavi, like you know the length of time it took for things to come and things, you know. Whereas they used to be kind of like instant, more or less. But Amazon's really kind of swallowed all the kind of. Well, for me personally, I know I do all my shopping at Amazon. Very rarely, unless there's something on an offer or I spot something at a low price on another site, will I go elsewhere? You know.
I've actually been using Zavi a lot recently.
I go in there periodically to check stuff, but I mean, unless I know what I'm looking for, it's kind of hard to find stuff. I find.
I know they get a lot of flack for being really like taking ages to post stuff and making mistakes and that. I've not really had that many problems with them. I don't actually mind waiting if Zavi do a lot of like 10% discounts and stuff.
Yeah, I've never had any of them through. I mean, I have bought like a fair bit of stuff, and I've bought some pre-orders from. I've never had any problem getting them. Just like you, I've never had a single problem with them. I think I had one. I think I ordered. It's maybe Maniac Cop from them or something like that, and it was like at a cheap price. It was like £5.
Right.
It was one that was really cheap, and that took a wee while to come. But that was the most. You know what I mean? But no, I've never had a problem with them. But I don't know how I go about getting these 10% offs.
Right. They do a lot of good deals. Definitely the cheapest place to get Masters of Cinema. I've had some good deals. I remember I got the Saturday night and Sunday morning Blu-ray for $3.99 years ago. That was like a deal of the day or something. And they've got some cheaper, the Studio Canal collection. I picked up them for like £10. It's the cheapest you ever see them. So yeah. No,
yeah, definitely. I mean, Play was good at one point, but they definitely went down.
Yeah, I've not used it in a while.
And Blockbuster seemed to be
Blockbuster
on the way out as well. I mean, that's a big hit personally, because I go there quite a lot looking for like pre-owned Blu-rays and stuff like that, and I usually I haven't got anything recently really, because they're putting out more and more ex-rental stuff rather than stuff folks traded in. So it's kind of been a bit of a poor selection recently, but it was always, you could always find maybe like one or two, you'd be like, oh, that's actually a decent deal, you know. And I mean, where are you going to rent videos? You know, I know like most people are streaming now and or love film, whatever, but there's always the people that like, you know, don't have that or don't want to pay a monthly subscription to anything, and just want a video.
We can get like streaming on demand now, like for is it Blinkbox, which is Tesco's.
You know what I mean? Like, even like, I know it's not maybe, but there is a generation still there that don't know, that aren't very tech savvy and are not maybe wanting to. use the magic box of a computer to stream a film or whatever, or hook it up to TV or have a smart TV or So I feel like it is a bit of a shame, and there's definitely a market for rental, like actual physical rental store. But maybe something like the vending machine tape system they have in the States.
Right.
I think they tried
Red
a couple
box.
of them. Aye, they tried a couple of them over here, didn't they? I remember seeing one when we were back at school. I remember seeing see out the police station is.
Right.
Like the kind of MFI side where that used to be.
Okay.
There used to be a kind of vending machine box outside a video store, like a kind of like small independent video store kind of place, and it was like a proper vending machine style thing, and you put in whatever. But so I don't know if Redbox is maybe the way.
I'm a big advocate. I love film.
I mean that's fair enough. Again, like, I just feel like some people don't want to pay a subscription, and they're only looking for when and if they want it, and not everyone's tech savvy enough to steal their movies online. No, I'm saying love film, but like some people would do that rather than rent, and that's probably what drove them out of business. To be fair,
well, we might see a resurgence of independence as well.
That's true.
That guy
cool.
has won. I think.
But you might find the resurgence, but like I don't know. It seems it's getting closer and closer to this by physical media.
Yeah, well.
When the day when you can't buy a brand new DVD or Blu-ray or rent on the high street, it's not looking good, is it? It's not a good sign for physical media. I wouldn't say, like when they're taking away the shops.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it, how it's in sort of possible demise, but I don't think that really has much impact. Because it's more like it's not like people only buying it, or just only buying the high street.
I feel like though that people, it not being on the high street, people who have been using the store, like people again of a certain generation or certain mindset for not using Amazon for certain reasons, for maybe like personal politics about the tax thing, whatever. Instead of like taking the small jump to, okay, I'm going to use a website now. Might be like, well, if I've learned how to use a computer, I might as well learn how to use a streaming thing or use iTunes or something and buy their stuff online. I feel like that's seems like a straighter, rather giving your payment details to a company to hand, something like Apple, right? Like the iTunes example, and then all you do is you click on the thing, you put in your password, they charge it to your card. That's you don't have to wait for nothing to come. You can watch the film there and then, just like you could if you were buying it out of a store or renting it.
Right.
You've no waiting, you know what I mean? I feel like your casual buyer's going to probably go straight to that rather than I'll go on Amazon and get this for the same price, more or less. Maybe a DVD is only £3, but it's going to take like 5 days to come. I feel like that could be the way it goes, and I'm pretty scared, to be honest, because I'm like, what? They're not going to sell me a nice new box, Gary, for my digital copy. Right. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to send me some like nice packaging for my digital copy. You're not getting a poster with a digital copy.
Yeah, not.
Well, that's my 2 cents on that. Speaking of nice packaging and posters, Gary, shall we move on to our friends at Arrow?
What have they been up to?
What? Well,
yeah. It's somewhat out of date now, but
but we might as well address it. I mean, it's relevant. It's still ongoing, kind of.
Not as yet resolved.
No.
Fully.
Do you want to give us some of the details, Gary, and I'll chip in?
Well, the issue was with the Zombie Flesh Eaters release.
Yeah.
Which we were praising to the high heavens in the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, again,
before we'd actually watched the film.
Yeah, having not watched it and only skipped through the transfer and seen the reviews. I mean, most people hadn't noticed it, as I say. I think I looked back in that Blu-ray.com review and it never mentioned it. It only mentioned it when she gave he or she gave the link.
Right, yeah.
To the review.
So basically, from the introduction, the 6 seconds roughly, I think, of footage missing, goes to the screen, last credit, directed by Fulci, and then cuts straight to misses the shot of the hardback, straight to the boat.
There's a shot of the Twin Towers, isn't there?
Right,
like, and the boat comes into the frame.
The music cuts really jarringly. Just a bit of a fuck up.
Basically, apparently it's been a side effects from the seamless, Gary, seamless branching for the 3 different opening title cards.
Yes.
I'm
getting
sorry,
too
but
fancy.
yeah,
Getting too fancy.
That's not seamless, Gary. I don't think that's seamless at all. So basically, it was a bit of a fuck up, right? Kind of come to expect a wee bit from Arrow, wee tiny fuck ups here and there, right? They're a small company. We can allow them. I don't have a problem, right? If they make a fuck up, I don't have a problem making the fuck up, right? These things happen, no matter how much quality control. Even though personally, I think it should be give it to people who know the film or who are comparing it to other versions of the film. Apparently, is it Massive Cinema do that? No. Blue Underground, apparently it was quoted that they do that. They check against all other versions of the film to make sure they've got all the footage kind of thing. Because apparently this went through three levels of quality control.
Right.
So yeah, so I don't mind the fuck up.
Right. Okay.
Right, I can live with the fuck up.
Right.
Right. There's been things with the discs that we've got that aren't perfect. Right, but not necessarily something you would scream for blood for. Right, but a replacement program was asked for. Right, to give the people who care about it. Yes, okay, us little OCD, maybe just like wanting what we paid for. You know, people call us whatever. I mean, it's been all over our Facebook, whatever. Like people that want this 6 seconds. Like one the suggestion was that they upload it to YouTube and send us a link, the 6 seconds, so we can watch it in loop. You know, see that? Did you see that link? No, someone has recommended do that. Arrow were contacted about, and apparently at first they said there's not going to be a replacement program. They are going to be correcting the issue, and future pressings will not have the issue. Yeah, but there's not going to be a replacement program. I mean, so a few things have been quoted about the Sale of Goods Act, things like that. I actually emailed them myself. I mean, I felt personally responsible for the next part because they replied to me and then they put it on Facebook as well. But anyway, they obviously had a lot of emails, and they piped up with, we had a lot adverse effect from the Beyond replacement disc when they released that with the opening in black and white instead of sepia. Apparently they had more discs being requested than what they sold. Right. I don't know how that even happens. Like, how do you no, no, that's bullshit, right? You're running it wrong. So they come up with the idea that to save themselves some administrative pressure and to save the folk taking the piss out of it, they would charge people $5 for a replacement disc. A fiver. Now, when I first saw this, I was just happy there was going to be a replacement scheme at all. But the more we spoke about it, and the more we thought about it, it's not on, is it?
That doesn't seem right.
I mean, how much did we pay for that slip? We mean, you and I both paid for the limited edition slip box from the
$17.99, was it?
Right. So that's just ripping the hole. That's worse than HMV.
Yeah, it was a bit of a spitting in the face, particularly of the loyal fans who had pre-ordered straight from them the limited edition version. Put their money down. Took the money up front as well, not like a normal pre-order.
No, that's it.
For the version that they know they had sold, they're not even going to replace that.
Well, that's it. I mean, the person that had reviewed it in Blu-ray.com had brought the issue to their attention before the final was released. And they get told that it was just their check disc, the review disc they were sent, and it wasn't a problem with the actual retail. Yeah. And then they actually delayed the release of the disc, which would maybe think, well, maybe they're fixing it. Yeah. If there had been, But anyway, that was their solution to a $5. And I mean, I was saying to my wife, I was like, that's fair enough, right? I'll pay a $5. Right. You send me the disc, and then I'll send you my dud disc back. Right. And when you receive that, you refund my $5.
Not bad.
So that's kind of safe. Yeah. They're not going to get done too bad like that. Yeah. Because at least they're not going to be out of pocket. But I mean, everybody was raging about it. I mean, everybody who cared about it was raging about it. So eventually, they came back, thank God, and said there was going to be a full replacement system, and they weren't going to charge, and they refunded anyone who paid for the replacement disc. But I mean, it felt kind of like damage done. Yeah. I mean, they're saying now that they have to, you have to send your disc in, whatever, which is fine. Why would you do anything else? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'll give you an example. Through this replacement scheme, there was a couple of people who had quoted other replacement disc things. And one of them that was quoted was the Inception disc replacement, and I was like, "What's this all about?" Because I hadn't never noticed anything on my Blu-ray. I was kind of, so I googled it, and it was actually in the triple play,
right,
Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy. It's the DVD had a bad encode, and it was all like jaggies and looked pretty shitty, which I'd never watched it, so I wasn't bothered. But I thought, fuck it, I'll contact. It was the email address for Warner's. Contact them. Now I know it's Warner Brothers, big company, right? You can't really compare, but I'm sorry. Wait to hear what happens, right? Contacted them, right? Let's say today, right? They got back to me tomorrow, the next day, right? And I just said, like, is this replacement thing still working? Now, I've had this Blu-ray for like 3 years or something, or since it first came out, more or less on Blu-ray. I says, is this replacement thing still going? I've got one of the thingy discs.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, it's still going. Just send me your address.
Right.
Sent them my address that day.
Yeah.
The next day I had the disc.
Really?
It came in the post the next day. I didn't have to send them my disc.
Superb. Yeah.
I mean, that's why should Arrow have expected anything different? I'm not saying it has to be out the next day. You know what I mean? But like, why should it have been any different?
Yeah. You would even expect that possibly it'd be worse for a big corporation because it would just get lost in the mix.
Yeah, exactly. Or they would say that, oh, we're not doing that anymore. You just have to buy it again or something. You know, and uncaring. And I mean, yeah, I'm not saying, but there's no way that it's going to cost Arrow, to me, a $5 to re-author that DVD, that Blu-ray.
I don't know. There is some factoring in that we deserve the proper thing, but they are going to take a hit. But I think my problem with it is that the constant fuck-ups, are they overstretching themselves? Are they doing too much? Because they obviously can't. It's one after the other. I mean, even this one Blu-ray. First it was delayed, then there was the poster thing. Fucked up. They couldn't fit the poster in. And we've seen what else. The Beyond was fucked up. There's many more which I can't quite recall. But I think they're for the facilities and the capabilities they have. They seem to be
they're not doing the slipcover packaging anymore. They've stopped doing that. So it just feels like they're. I mean, one of the things was. The arguments was put forward like, oh, we're being like anal geek boys, like fucking like nerds that sit and masturbate over 6 seconds, right? And someone else come up with the comments like, well, actually, like, sorry, but I thought Arrow were there to cater for us,
right,
with the packaging and with the type of films they bring out. They're there to cater for us, our type of people who are very particular about the things we like and we like the packaging. That's all there for the fanboy, right? But it just seems like they're falling away from that piece by piece.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Starting with the limited edition packaging going for most of the stuff. It just feels like they're becoming. It's like they're not being the same company anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just past asking, would you put up for a Kickstarter if we were trying to do another restoration?
Yeah.
Which I told you I was on board with, but. The way they're working things, you're not going to be able to pay for that and get your Blu-ray. They're going to want another $5 for the disc.
Yeah, it puts you off like pre-ordering or anything.
I mean,
you don't know what's going to
I
happen.
had said about like if Black Sabbath had come, and that's coming now. Apparently, it's been announced.
Right.
Another Bava title, because it's Boris Karloff in it. They're talking about that in that horror documentary, and I've said I'd be quite interested to see it. But man, I've not even given it a second thought about thinking about like pre-ordering it or anything, because I'm just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
I'm just.
I think if even just like half their output, they could make sure everyone was perfect. Just put the time in. Then nobody would complain.
That's it. And another thing they're saying is like a lot of the announcements recently are like they're not catering to the same audience either. They're bringing out this kind of softcore erotica. And a lot of that's actually cut. I found.
Is it?
They're submitting it, and they don't know whether they're getting it through uncut. But apparently, some of them have been cut
to
get them out.
All right.
Which is weird.
I thought it was Arrow's kind of thing that would only do uncut versions.
No, apparently that's what I'm saying. They seem to be falling away from. That seems like they're just getting it out to make something. I don't even know what they're catering to with that stuff. It doesn't seem like in line with the stuff they've done before. I don't know. It's just it's kind of, it's definitely disheartening. You just think, it's kind of a shame because that was kind of what you and I started getting back into this kind of thing together. Was kind of masturbating over slip boxes,
Right.
you know. That was a kind of thing, you know. Really, that was a kind of big thing, you know. We started off doing this, and it's like they've changed even just in less than a year.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Kind of let down. But they are setting up with the replacement program, so we'll wait and see. It's nothing's been released yet on the replacement details, where to send to or anything. I mean, it's a shame that they've went from the heights of what we thought this release was to this now. You know,
on a more positive note about it, it does look amazing.
I mean,
it shows you like with a proper transfer what these films can look like. Because we always kind of said in some of our reviews that we don't expect them. They're not the greatest transfers, but the films aren't films that are going to look amazing. But actually, the basis of that, I mean, I'd like to see a new version of The Beyond, like what a proper new master of that could look like.
I mean, I told you I've got like Zombie 2, like the 25th anniversary version for the States, and it looks like a VHS master.
Yeah,
like from that, it really is horrible. And I looked at it even before. I don't seen the trailer online for the new version. And it was like night and day, even just to like a YouTube trailer.
Yeah.
Almost unwatchable to the extent that some VHS are now. You know, like you go back and you're like, I can't watch this because it looks horrible and sounds horrible. And this new version is just like stunning in comparison. And for them to be dragged so low from, as I say, from having such high by just a stupid authoring error.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of curious thing about the Italian exploitation industry that they were all shot by the same technicians that would shoot all types of films. There wasn't any kind of like tiers, so these films should look as amazing as every other one.
Yeah, that's it. So definitely.
Hopefully, I mean, I think they were old. The other ones like the Bond, Set 11 Dead, the Argento ones, they were older transfers. So hopefully, sometime in the future, someone will put them out and it'll look good eventually.
It's good to see them getting some props finally for like having a not even just better, but like 10 times better version than the Blue Underground. You know, I get quite heavily panned in comparison, but it was good for the tech. They said this is probably the best it's going to look, but it was a lot of DNR and stuff like that on it, and this is just head and shoulders above. Bar the 6 seconds. But anyway, that, as I say, it's both sad and disappointing, as well as like, well, they were just turning the corner, it felt. But we'll see what happens. Shall we move on to pickups? So I think we'll both get quite a big haul. So we'll just kind of rattle through them. Yeah, we're not spending too much time. None of your blethering. So obviously, with it being Christmas and such and things like that, I got from my work actually the Spider-Man trilogy on Blu-ray.
All right.
I already had this.
Okay.
So a wee bit of this. I already had this, but they re-released it with all the special features that were on the DVDs. Didn't have it, and it was basically vanilla releases. Although weirdly, the third film came with 2 discs in the original set with all the special features.
Right.
And the new set, they only gave 1 disc with like, just the special features from the first disc.
All right.
Something to watch out for. If not you buying it, but anyone listening is going to get it. It's good for the first 2 films. You get the extra special features, but for the third film, you're actually losing a disc. So luckily, I had the old set and I could mix and match whatever. I picked up My Bloody Valentine, the original, on Blu-ray. Quite rare in the States, but I think it's actually the Canadian release I got. But I got it for like £7.
Okay.
But it goes quite a bit more expensive for the States one.
Is that any good?
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched it yet, but it's meant to be pretty good. But I picked up the American Evil Dead because it had the original full frame presentation in HD, which the UK Blu-ray didn't have. Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks film. Yeah, picked that up. It looks really good. It's very much in the aesthetic of the Universal monster films. You know, that's the way it's meant to look, and that's the way it looks. You know, you seen it before?
I haven't seen it.
No, it's pretty good. Yeah, remember going to see it at the Gaiety?
Oh, aye, yeah.
But I like Gene Wilder. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, The Hunger Games.
Really?
Aye. Jennifer Lawrence is in it. It's kind of on the fad. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't watched it yet. But I managed to get my hands on the 3-disc Unseen Sainsbury's exclusive.
Right.
for fairly cheap, so it's alright. I'll let you know how that turns out. Don't know. Let's say.
What about that house in the end of the street? You interested in
I
that?
haven't seen that yet. No.
Right.
It was something that when I saw the trailer, I was like, that's just like very generic film, horror film. But I read the synopsis about it, thinking I will never watch it. I think I told you this before, actually.
Right.
And it wasn't actually what I thought at all. It's actually a little. There's no supernatural element to it at all.
Right. Aye.
It's more of a kind of. That's a bit fucked up.
Yeah, it's very generic, but
it's yeah, aye, yeah.
Maybe.
I think she's an amazing actress. I do, as well as she's pretty. So,
Winter's Bone. Did you see that?
Well, I also picked up Winter's Bone,
right,
and I watched that the other night. There,
okay,
that's a good film. Like
awesome,
that, yeah. You seen it? Aye.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It's oh man, like that chainsaw scene in the boat. Like
right,
that's like. There's no like actual sound almost. It's just the chainsaw and music. I thought that was powerful, but like her whole performance in it's brilliant. But did you watch it on Love Film or?
Yeah, I rented it. I think.
Yeah. No man, it looks stunning.
Is that the
as
US
well,
one?
Yeah, I got the US one
because
it's got the director's commentary. Yeah. As I said, I had high hopes for that film, and it didn't disappoint at all.
It has sort of a kind of horror sort of in a fairy tale sense, like quite mythical.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So I picked that up on Blu-ray. I picked up X-Men First Class. Got that for my Christmas.
Right.
Again, Jennifer Lawrence is in that. That's a bit of a theme here. Got Terminator 2. 5 out of Asda.
Right.
Alright. I was kind of holding off for the Steelbook.
Okay.
But I was looking at it and it was like $30 and above. And I'm thinking it's a $5. I can sell that if I ever want to get the Steelbook. So got that, picked that up. Leon. US Blu-ray.
Right.
Not like that film?
It's alright.
No,
it's been years since I've seen it.
Yeah, but whilst I've seen it, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit.
Okay.
Right. Gran Torino.
Alright.
Yeah, got that. I've not watched that yet, but got Monsters Inc. on Blu-ray.
Right.
Got that free. 750 points or something like that. So yeah, man, I wanted to see about the Nightmare Before Christmas, but it didn't have it, so I just got Monsters Inc. Wasn't disappointed, man. I watched it, and it's quite an old film. You know, technically quite an old film.
Yeah.
You know, but it looks absolutely stunning in HD, man. It's crazy good. Good film as well. A film on DVD called The Poker House. You heard of that? No. It's a film directed by Laurie Petty. You know Laurie Petty, Tank Girl.
All right.
Yeah, you know she's been in quite a few films.
Did she direct it or she stars in it?
She's directed it.
Tank Girl.
Tank Girl. Laurie Petty was Tank Girl.
Okay,
right. So yeah, she kind of wrote and directed it.
Right. Okay.
And it stars Jennifer Lawrence and Chloe Moretz from Kick-Ass.
Okay.
And Selma Blair. Cruel Intentions.
Right.
You'd know her if you saw her.
Okay.
But that's a good film as well. That's really good. It's kind of semi-autobiographical.
Right.
Autobiographical. But it's really good. And Jennifer Lawrence is again amazing, and so is Chloe Moretz. And like she must be like 3 or something. And it's crazy. Like she's some of the dialogue scenes. You know what I mean? You just think, how is that kid pulling that off?
Right.
But anyway, it's opposed to something like Winter's Bone with the little sister and that. Because she plays the little sister. It's like the little girl does really well, like, but she's not an actor. I don't think the little girl in Winter's Bone, but she's very naturalistic, you know. Whereas Chloe Moretz is a proper little character,
right? Yeah.
In Poker House. Anyway, so that's good. Also, I've got a couple of things. Russell. Jaws. Digibook.
Snap.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, the UK one.
Yes.
Did you get that on Amazon?
Yes.
10.25.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Good price.
I got it for Christmas. I don't know.
Did you?
Yeah. So
it's actually like the US one is actually maybe better because it's one of the thicker ones with the DVD. But you can't beat that price. Like,
man, definitely. And I think the US one was a Best Buy exclusive.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
I'm
sure it was. I also got for my Christmas Lady Snowblood.
All right.
The Steelbook, which I had pre-ordered ages ago, but then thingied off. So see what that's like. It's 1 and 2, so it's alright. What else did I get? Oh, this one was the one I was talking about earlier on. I was saying about like Sainsbury's and the cheapness and the ridiculous HMV prices.
Right.
So I got the Superman motion picture anthology and Blu-ray, right? Now it's 8 discs,
Right.
right? And
8 Blu-ray discs, or
8 Blu-ray discs, right? And I had okay, this is a bit. You can cut this if you want, right? I got it. Or you can keep it in if whatever. Just I don't think she'll ever hear it. But my aunt had asked my mum what to get for Christmas. I'd mentioned this. Now this was £12 in Sainsbury's, right? 8 discs, £12, right? Now I opened my present on Christmas Day, and it was the DVDs.
Oh,
and the DVDs was literally like 3 discs, like with the 5 films spread over like 3 discs or something like that, or 3 or 4 discs. It wasn't like 5 discs. It was doubles. And I've already got them all in single edition DVD anyway, right? Like with bare bones, whatever. Now I taken it back to Sainsbury's and they swapped it, changed it for me.
Yeah.
Right, so that they were fine. I mean, no problem really, because it was Christmas. The DVD was £11, right, and a pound more got you
fucking hell,
like 3 more discs, more or less.
Yeah.
Right. On this set, they have the complete Fleischer cartoons, all the Fleischer cartoons that the Batman animated series was based on.
Yeah.
The famous Studios cartoons, which were a slight continuation of that,
right?
Similar art style. It's also got George Reeves' Superman and the Mole Men film, the whole film, 98-minute film in black and white. It's not in HD, I don't think, but it still looks pretty good. Plus all the extras and commentaries for the actual films. 2 versions of Superman the movie. There's a Superman the movie and then it's expanded edition. 2 versions of Superman 2.
Right.
There's the Donner version as well, Donner cut, which was an alternate cut. It's pretty much completely different. And again, like then you've got everything, all the actual special features above that for £1 extra.
That's pretty canny.
And £35 in HMV.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like kind of. It's awesome, like £1. Like the girl that like we changed it with in Sainsbury's, like who did it, actually laughed. She couldn't believe it.
Right.
The fact that she was just impressed you're getting the Blu-rays for £1 more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but like, oh my god.
Yeah.
The content and that alone is worth the £12.
Definitely.
So
so what's the selection like in there? Sainsbury's.
It's not great. It's not amazing, but every so often you find something like that. Like again, I
mean, was that a chart thing? Was that a chart title?
I think it might have been.
Right.
I don't know.
Because Tesco normally has top 10 or something.
Yeah, Tesco's absolute shit, man. Asda can be alright at times.
Right.
As I say, I got Terminator 2 in there for 5 of those, a couple other things, but nothing amazing. But it used to be better. But Sainsbury's, I mean, they had the Lethal Weapon set. I almost bought that at one point, but I'm not. I don't. If it had been the Die Hard set, I'd have been in.
Right.
But Lethal Weapon ones, I wasn't. I'm like.
Seen Lethal Weapon, the first one.
Yeah.
Okay for it.
I don't mind the first one, but that's the only one I would have probably watched out the whole set, so I didn't get it. But I mean, for tenner, I was like, it's almost worth it. But I mean, they have a lot of stuff like that that's cheaper than anywhere else. But it's worth a check. It's definitely something I'd check out all the time if I'm going in looking for stuff. I'll definitely give it a check. And I think that brings it to the end. But as you can see, a very Jennifer Lawrence heavy pick up. 4 films there.
Did you get a 2013 calendar? On it?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I never even thought of that. Fuck. Because somebody asked me what calendar I want. I couldn't think of what one. Oh man, epic fail.
I suppose you probably can.
Oh, sorry, not all. No? Sorry, one more.
Right.
Sorry, you're disappointed, aren't you? I finally got a couple of those Blu-rays were from the States that I'd been getting from my mate was bringing back.
Right.
I finally got my Watchmen collector's edition.
Oh, aye, yeah, did it arrive in one piece?
Yep. The card there's a wee bit bent, but that was all. Everything else was perfect. It's nice, stunning package, like it's lenticular, so that's the comic book characters,
right?
And you turn it a bit, and you get all the live action characters.
Right, okay.
It's really nice, actually. The box doesn't. I can't keep anything in it because if you keep the book in it, it falls out because the lid flaps open like that. But nice hard cover edition of Watchmen, and you get all this stuff. The only thing was you get the theatrical cut of the film but it's only on DVD. And it's the only DVD in the whole collection. It's like you could just give them it in Blu-ray, couldn't you? Good thing though, you get a digital copy with it.
Right.
And with the previous Ultimate Edition, you only get a digital copy of the theatrical version. But in this, you get the whole 3-hour Ultimate Cut and digital copy. So that's pretty good. So that was nice. Anyway, sorry, right, jump on.
Did you get Dark Knight Rises?
Oh fuck! Jesus Christ! Right. I got the Dark Knight Rises.
I was expecting that.
Steelbook from Best Buy, like the Best Buy exclusive with that exclusive documentary on it.
Right.
I haven't watched it yet, but
alright, so how long is that documentary, do you know?
I don't know, actually. I've not even
substantial?
checked it. I've not even.
Right, okay.
Sorry, I've not even put. I've not had a chance to put it in yet. But I've been dying to watch it. Went to
Right.
watch Winter's Bone the other night, and I was like, Julie, I've got Batman. I've just
Yeah.
realised. I hadn't realised because it's up. I've got my 3 steelbooks now because I had the 2 steelbooks.
Right.
I got my 3rd one up now.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it was up there, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got a steelbook. And then I
Right.
hadn't computed that I have the DVD as well, or the Blu-ray as well.
Right.
So that's nice. You get a digital copy of that as well.
Okay.
So, but-
I'm a bit in limbo with that because I'd put the trilogy box set on my Christmas list.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get it.
All right.
So I'm thinking now I'm going to wait.
To see what that the collector's
Yeah,
edition
because on the last Batman and Film
Uh-huh.
podcast, Bill had hinted that there was
Do you still
commentaries.
get
but
that? When was
It's
that?
hardly ever comes out, like, because there's no much to talk about. The last one, there was just like a kind of a roundup of the whole Dark Knight Rises, the whole
I think
year.
I've actually heard that one now.
Right.
When was that released?
Probably a couple of months ago now.
Yeah, I've probably had it then.
yeah.
'Cause I do have it
I
subscribed.
mean, he threw that out there, so he knows Nolan in that, so maybe might see commentaries.
That's fair enough. Aye.
So the only thing is that I really want to see the film again.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So-
you can definitely learn it, man.
Aye.
It's so good.
Okay, go with me.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Right.
Let's fucking put to bed.
Right, I'm going to start with Master of Cinema. But over Christmas, they were doing all their steelbooks. Well, Amazon was doing all their steelbooks for $9.99.
Right, I did see some of them. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I've got every steelbook now in the collection. Yeah, I went in a bit of a bender. Yeah, so what did I pick up? Silent Running, Two Lane Blacktop, Repo Man, Lifeboat. Yeah, I had the other ones already, and then Cleopatra, I got a decent deal on that on eBay just to finish the collection.
Just the steelbook, aye.
Yeah,
I wasn't that keen on that steelbook, but because of the art, the cover art didn't tell the name, and it was
right.
kind of
Yeah,
basic,
it's
but
actually beautiful. It's
was
like
it
kind of
nice,
gold
aye? Yeah.
infused. So the only one I don't have now is the Metropolis one,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I'm bidding that on eBay at the moment.
All right,
I'm
but
hoping for a good
you've
deal.
got the Blu-ray, though, haven't you?
Yeah. So
Watch
so
out
that's
for
the
that
one
on
that
an
goes for
Amazon near
crazy
you.
money.
I says watch out for that on Amazon near you.
Right.
Awesome, and that's nice. You can keep doing your stuff. I'm just going to go and have a look at them.
Okay, and just standard Blu-rays from Master Cinema, I've picked up Punishment Park, Bulk Success, Spoil Rock Hunter, Savage Planet, Make Way for Tomorrow. Yeah, some of them are from the Eureka sale. They did a New Year's sale, so some of them are like $9.99 as well. And from the Eureka sale, I picked up some of their DVDs as well. Just going for good prices. I got Vampire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
one I was
it's got a couple of different extras. I might keep that sealed actually, just in case they upgrade it anytime soon. Because I wanted to have it just in case. It's got the booklet and shit. I picked up Nosferatu. You've got that, haven't you? Aye. I wasn't sure about that. Like, we were waiting and waiting. So I saw some more intel that someone said that they'd heard from Master Cinema that they won't be doing a Blu-ray anytime soon.
Right.
Could be bullshit, but I guess it makes sense. Also got Rocco and His Brothers, the Visconti film, which I love. It's got 3 hours of extras, so I want to see that in Blue as well, but it's not out yet. And another, Antonioni film, El Grido. That's a bare bones, but it's got the 52-page book. Although it's got like a few kind of deleted scenes or something. Yeah, one deleted scene or something. So I got that. I can't remember how much that was. $7.99 or something. So, just in case it never comes to Blue.
Sure.
It's a good set, even though it's kind of bare bones. And I got this Metropolis, the Marauder cut.
Oh yeah.
Remember
Uh-huh.
I don't think I haven't seen that version. I don't know if it's any good or not. But that was $9.99 as well. So
Right.
it's a good steelbook, even though it's
Nice,
on DVD.
actually, huh?
So I thought I'd get that as well.
That's the one that's got the related with Queen music. And
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
Right, what else have I got? I picked up this. I got this in the mail today. It's Rebecca from Hitchcock.
Oh yeah.
This is the Criterion Collection version.
Right.
So there's basically, if you want to know, there's 5 Hitchcock films in the Criterion Collection. 3 of them are out of print and they go for quite pricey
Right.
DVDs, but I found that $12.99 on Amazon. I've seen it go up for like 40.
Sure.
So It's on Blu-ray now, obviously, but it's got different extras. So got that.
Nice.
And I've also been getting into digibooks.
Sure.
I did a bit of a digibook haul from Amazon.com.
Right.
And I picked up Big Lebowski, Doctor Strangelove, Shawshank Redemption, North by Northwest, Streetcar Named Desire, Goodfellas, Malcolm X, Meet Me in St. Louis. Oh, and I got the Taxi Driver. No really a digibook, but
the
US one.
Yeah.
Aye. Got all of them, and I got a Jaws digibook, the UK one.
Sure.
Also got the West Side Story box set on Blu-ray.
Right.
The States version, yeah. It's the bigger one that's got the book and all that. And just sort of standard Blu-ray sets. Well, no sets, but other Blu-rays. Orphans by Peter Mullen. Picked up. Got that. That was actually a decent deal I got at HMV the other day. In the Blue Cross sale.
Right.
It was 17, and then the Blue Cross 25% off, and I had like £2 of pure HMV points.
Was this on?
No, in the store.
In the store. Aye.
So I got 10.25, no 10.75.
That's good.
So that's quite a pricey Blu-ray normally, actually. So
did you hear that they're not on gift vouchers because
I heard that? Aye.
That's ridiculous. I had people saying that they'll just kind of walk in, get the thing, drop and put the tokens at the till because they've stole money off you. It's fair enough, man. I'd take the piss. But anyway.
What else? Magical Mystery Tour. Singing in the Rain. The UK set with the book. I think that's about me.
Cool. Well, shall we wrap this up then?
Right.
Yeah, you finished your haul. You got anything else? You saving anything for next time? No?
No, that'll do me.
Cool. So, as we bring this episode 20, to an end, first of the new year, and yes, I'll fix those Blu-rays on the shelf, Gary, in a wee second. Don't worry, don't freak out. It's good, all sorted.
Okay, that's the end of this episode of Evil Dead.
Yep.
And on the next episode, we'll be discussing the notorious Human Centipede 2 with some Human Centipede action as well.
So yeah, we're going to mainly look at Human Centipede 2.
Yeah.
Because it is the more extreme of the two, so I've been told by yourself, because I've not seen it. Whereas one's a bit more of a kind of jokey.
Yeah, we'll do one for context.
Yeah, I'm going to see them both just because I'm like that, and I want to check that out first.
So join us next time.
Thanks for listening.